Today I'm going to present a 15-minute English lesson designed for Grade 1 students. The focus of this lesson is on the subject Verbal Object Sentence structure, commonly known as SVO. This is a foundational grammar plan in English, and helping young learners recognize and use this structure is an essential step in their language development. Our overview is divided into 5 sections: introduction, learning outcomes, principle of assessment used, activity introduction, and construction. In this lesson, students will learn how to build simple sentences like I eat apples or she plays games by identifying the subject, verb, and object. The activities are interviewed, age appropriate, and designed to make grammar fun and meaningful. The game is to boost their confidence in construction, complete sentence, and lead to groundwork for future writing and speaking skills. Now, let's take a closer look at the lesson plan and how it supports our learning goals.
I'd like to explain our learning outcomes and how our learning outcomes align with different level of Bloom's cognitive domain. Our learning goal covered a range of thinking skills from lower order to higher order levels, reflecting a gradual learning progression. For example, LO1 asks students to list words related to the subject, predicate, and object. This demonstrates basic recall of knowledge and aligns with remembering level. LO2 requires students to identify subjects, verb, object, phrase from a paragraph. This shows comprehension and the ability to apply what they have learned, which fits the understanding level.
Okay, let me briefly introduce our four-part activity series designed to help first grade understand the basic sentence structure, subject, verb, and object in a fun and engaging way. Activity 1, words of team. Students work in a small group to support picture word cards like boy, run, or kick. And under 3, rigorous subject, verb, and objects. This hands-on task helps them build an intuitive sense of how words function in a sentence through values and discussion. Activity 2, find a sentence friend. Next, students use colored pens to highlight the subject, verb, and object. In simple sentence, for example, blue for subject, red for verb, and green for object. This visual approach reinforces their understanding of a sentence structure in context. Activity 3, break the sentence request. In this more advanced step, students read a short paragraph and circle the SVO parts in each sentence. To keep it engaging, we turn it into a small group game. This helps them apply their knowledge to longer tests with growing confidence. In Activity 4, students will write 1 to 3 complete English sentences based on Peppa Pig pictures. They will use the subject, verb, and object structure learned in class, such as the Peppa plays with a ball. The focus is on the independent sentence writing. So teachers may provide keywords or sentence if needed. This activity helps students apply grammar knowledge in a meaningful context. Their writing skills and boosts their confidence in using English. Indirectly support LO4. By the end of the class, students will be able to independently write 3 simple sentences with the subject, predicate, and object.
Principle of assessment used. Activity 1 and Activity 2. Assessment for learning. To check progress during learning. Activity 3. Assessment of learning. To evaluate performance after instruction. Activity 4. Assessment as learning. To promote independent learning and reflection. Assessment for learning. We are focusing on helping our students understanding physical sentence structures, specifically the subject, verb, and object. Our learning objectives are clear. First, students will be able to list at least 5 words phrases. Then given a short passage, they will be able to identify at least 3 subject, verb, object phrases, also with 8% phrases. To support this, we are using assessment for learning strategies. One key feature is group-based word classification. This allows us as teachers to observe students thinking on action, suppose misunderstandings, and provide immediate feedback. We are also using color coding as a visual tool. It helps students see their thought process and reflect on their choices. There are a few important principles to keep in mind. Start with clear learning objectives. Promote meaningful teacher-student interaction, using feedback to guide learning, not just reading. Keep the approach learner and centered. Encourage students to reflect on their own progress. Of course, we will face some challenges. Sometimes group participation may be uneven. On this task, assigning a physical role like a class manager can ensure everyone gets involved. Some students may also struggle with grammar terms or color, so we will simplify them by using processes like who did what and did who to whom, supported by examples. And if students rely too much on others during demonstrations, we will randomly ask them to explain their choice. For example, why did you predict this word in red? By keeping our activities clear, interactive, and reflective, we can help all students engage meaningfully and build a strong foundation in English system structures.
On this slide, I'd like to introduce the learning objective and how our assessment reflects the key features of an effective assessment of learning. Our learning objective is for students to read a short paragraph with simple everyday impressions and accurately identifying the subject, predicate, and object in each sentence. This aligns with the learning outcome 3 and targets the analyzing level in Bloom's taxonomy. This assessment is summative conducted after instruction to evaluate students' learning. It is also graded with clear material. Students need to correctly identify subject, verb, objective components in at least 5 sentences with 80% accuracy. Because results can be reported to parents or school leaders, it is considered high stakes. The activity is valued and readable, using familiar sentence structures and objective answers that are easy to score. Expectations are shared beforehand, ensuring clarity and transparency, and the assessment is fully aligned with the intended learning outcome. Now, let's take a look at how this assessment is implemented in a fair, effective, and student-centered way. First, the activity follows the key principles of effective assessment of learning. It is valued because it directly measures the learning outcomes. Subject, verb, object identification. It is readable as the answers are clear and easy to assess consistently. To ensure fairness, we use simple vocabulary and visual support, making it accessible to all learners. Transparency is also key. We clearly communicate expectations so students know exactly what success looks like. However, like many summative tasks, this activity may present some challenges. For instance, some students may feel pressure or anxiety. Others may struggle with timing or language processing. To address this, we design the activity as a fun sentence quest. Rather than a formal test, we also use differentiation, visual aids, and flexible timing to support equality. Finally, teachers can calibrate scoring in advance to ensure fair and consistent judgment.
The learning objective of this activity is for students to independently write 3 simple sentences using the subject, verb, object structure without any teacher assistance. To achieve this, students begin by looking at a picture of Peppa Pig. Then they write sentences that describe what is happening in the picture. For example, if the picture shows Peppa playing with a ball, they might write Peppa plays with a ball. Now, let's look at the key features. That makes this activity a strong example of achievement as learning. First, students apply what they have learned by creating their own sentences, which promote a sense of ownership and engagement. Second, the assessment is embedded in the learning process. It's not a separate test, but part of the task itself. Third, the activity encourages metacognitive thinking as students reflect on how to build correct and meaningful sentences using the SVO structure. Finally, students can share their sentences with the class, helping them build confidence and improve their ability to express idea in English. However, there are some challenges to consider. Some students may struggle with vocabulary. In that case, teachers can offer keywords or sentences template to support them. Others may feel shy when sharing a lot, so pair or group presentations can be used instead. If students lack self-reflection skills, a simple checklist can help guide their review. And if time is limited, the activity can be done in shorter steps across 2 sessions. In summary, this fun and practical activity allows students to apply grammar in context, express idea with confidence, and take an active role in their own learning, making it a meaningful example of assessment as learning. Thank you.
This lesson is carefully designed to help one student understand and apply the best student web object, sentence structure, sales prescribed learning outcomes, and user-friendly activities. By aligning each learning outcome with appropriate assessment, appropriate assessments for learning of learning and as learning, we ensure that students are supposed at every stage of their learning journey. From vocabulary storing to sentence construction and creative storytelling into activity builds up the personal one. Prompting engagement, comprehension, and independence, the use of visual ed, group tests, and individual reflection encourages meaningful learning and allows students to demonstrate their understanding in diverse ways. Overall, this lesson not only enhances students' grammar skills but also natural competence, communication, and creative in English language learning.